Is the greatest story ever told fiction? Let's talk about it. Dolphins fans, thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks for coming and spending some time watching this little channel of mine as I try to get it to grow into something maybe a little bigger. If you have friends that are Dolphins fans, or if you're fans of the AFC East teams, go ahead and give me a follow if you could, and comment and tell me what you guys think of the videos that I'm putting out. It always helps. I do appreciate it. I will say that as a Dolphins fan, I do follow a lot of Patriots, Bills, and Jets creators. I like to stay up to date on what's going on with the rest of the division, and I'm sure a lot of you are the same way. So I do appreciate those Jets, Bills, and Patriots fans that come and check out my channel. Like I said, I'm a Dolphins fan. I hope your teams lose, but at the same time, I'm not a hater. I don't destroy and talk endless amounts of smack about the other teams in the division. I do things a little different around here. So anyway, I do appreciate you guys coming and checking it out. But I wanted to talk about something today that is weird, kinda. And the weird thing is my delusional hope in my team. How delusional is it? Well, I really, I don't know. I don't know how delusional it is. I know that I try not to let my love for my team get involved when I'm trying to look at things rationally and examine situations. And I know that in this season that the Dolphins have had, it did not start out the way that any Dolphins fan or any player probably wanted it to. But I will say that there have been some things that have come from this that have given me a little bit of hope, and a different kind of hope than I normally have as a Dolphins fan. And those of you that are fans of the Dolphins know that we're kind of a jaded bunch, and Jets fans can identify with how the Dolphins feel. They're kind of going through the same kind of crap, just a different color. It seems like the Dolphins always start out great, and then they fall apart at the end of the season. They lose cold weather games. They can't seem to play up to the level of some of the better teams in the NFL, and they don't play smash mouth football. Well, this season has been weird. That hasn't happened this year. It's kind of been the opposite, and it's kind of, ladies and gentlemen, it's creeping me out. The Dolphins have started playing better football near the end of the season here, as we're approaching the end of the season. We started out horribly, starting 2-6, and our quarterback was out for the beginning of the season pretty much, and we had a lot of injuries in the beginning of the season, and just couldn't put W's together, losing to everyone and their mother. And then here it is near the midway point and moving on into the end of the season, and our team is starting to play better. And it's strange. It's strange to see our team do things that they've never really done before. For example, putting teams away at the end of games. Not letting teams creep back in and make games close. Not letting teams beat us up and treat us like a weak team or a soft team. This year it seems to be a little different. It seems like the Dolphins have a little bit of an edge that they're playing with, a little bit of an attitude, a chip on their shoulders, and it's as a Dolphins fan, it's great to see. And don't get me wrong when I say that, I'm excited to see it. I love to see it. As an ex-football player, I'm encouraged by it. It makes me smile watching our team punch teams in the mouth between the tackles. I love seeing the heavy run game. I love seeing us put teams away and drive down the field at the end of a game to make sure that they aren't able to score enough points to win, or aren't able to score enough points to maybe come back at the end of it. It's a strange feeling. And I'm sure a lot of you Dolphins fans can agree with me on that. It's different. And our quarterback is playing better football in the end of the season. And usually, what Tua does is he starts off red hot. And then at the end of the season, he'll get hurt or he'll play worse. And I'm not saying any of this to jinx my team, so it's not like we're winning the Super Bowl or anything like that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I'm trying to be introspective here as to what's happening with our team. And I also know that we're only 4-6, and there's a long way to go here for the end of the season. 7 more games for the Dolphins. But the premise of this whole video is, can the Dolphins go on a run? Can the Dolphins play better football at the end of the year? Can the Dolphins win a cold weather game? Can they do these things that they haven't been able to do? As a fan, as me being a fan, ever the optimist, I think I'm going to say that we can. Will it happen? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think we can. I think they have the ability this year, and they have the chip on their shoulder and the edge, and they have the know-how to play championship football, which is running the ball hard, running between the tackles, knowing how to play the short game, knowing how to win a football game more than just bombing passes down to the end zone, more than just throwing the ball as far as you can and letting 2 of the fastest receivers in the NFL catch it. That's not how we're winning games this year. They're winning games different. They're winning games by long sustained drives that take half of a quarter, 75, 80, 95 yard possessions that take up 8, 9, 10 minutes of a quarter. It's weird to see. It's not something that us as Dolphins fans are used to. So, knowing that and seeing these things that we're not used to seeing as fans, what does that mean for Miami? Well, I'm not sure. I find it exciting. It means I don't really know what to think as these games come up. I mean, I can analyze the data, and I can look at our schedule, and I can look at the way we've been playing and the way players are playing and what they're doing in their off time and all this stuff and this information, and I can present it to you guys as viewers as this is what I think is going to happen, but I don't really know. No one knows. So what I'm doing and what I think might happen, what I hope happens, what I want to happen, is I want the real greatest story ever told. I want the greatest story ever told on a football field. I want it this year. I see the opportunity for it. That's for sure. I do see the opportunity for the greatest story ever told to happen, and for the main characters of that to be the Miami Dolphins. Does the greatest story ever told end in a Super Bowl win? I don't think so. But it could. Who knows? It's football. That's why they play every game. So I'll tell you what I do think. I think the Miami Dolphins win enough games to make the playoffs. And I'm calling my shot. I think they win enough games to make the playoffs this year. I think they win a playoff game this year, knowing full well that likely we're going to end up playing the Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs in the first round, if we even make the playoffs. If we even make it, we're going to be playing one of those two teams. Now, me personally, for the greatest story ever told, either one of those teams in the first round would work. We got embarrassed by the Chiefs last year in the first round. In a very cold game. I'll give it that. It was freezing cold. And I'm from North Pole, Alaska. It's 15 below outside my window right now. It was that cold in Kansas City when they played that game. I've played cold weather football games before, and I would never want to play at 15 below. That's just too cold. So, it could be them. And that would be perfect for the greatest story ever told. What else would be? The Buffalo Bills. Our arch nemesis who have done nothing but destroy us for 4 or 5 years. Really? Was there a couple close games in there? Yeah. But what happens in those games? We get beat up. We get bullied. Tua Tagovailoa plays like crap in most of those games. You've seen the stats. Now, I'm excluding the last game we just played a couple weeks ago in Buffalo because that was a well-played game by Miami. And that game is one of the reasons that I'm thinking how I'm thinking right now. In that game, the Dolphins did not get bullied. They did lose on a 61-yard field goal as time expired in that game. But they weren't getting bullied. So either one of those teams would be amazing to play in the first round. Because in a season like this, I wouldn't want to play a weak team. I want to play one of the best teams. And play spoiler in the first round. Have a chance to do something special and end the greatest story ever told on a good note. But in order for all that to happen, other things have to happen first. And as a fan, I can sit here and think about these games coming up, and I can say, oh man, that could happen. We got this game next. We got the Jets after that. I can be thinking about all this, but I don't really want the football team. I don't want Miami to be thinking about this. I hope the players aren't thinking this way, because that's a bad way to think about football when you're playing in the middle of a season. I know from experience that when you're playing in a football season, you only think about and work on the game that you're about to play. So I hope that Miami and the coaches and everybody involved in the organization is thinking Patriots, 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 Patriots. Because that's who we're playing this week. And don't worry, my Patriots Week videos are coming. This is just something I wanted to put out tonight as I'm still doing a little bit of research on the Patriots games and what could happen there and still formulating my thoughts on it. I just kind of had some exterior thoughts as to the season and how things are going, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking greatest story ever told, and I'm thinking it started 2 weeks ago, and that's why in those last couple videos on the recaps for the games, I've said, that's step 1 in the 9-step program for the greatest story I ever told. Last week for the Raiders game in the recap, said that's step 2. Now we're on to step 3, which is the Patriots. Drake May is playing good football, by the way. Got to watch out for him. They got a good tight end. We have trouble with tight ends. Anyway, moving on. I want to start with this little stat here. And I want you guys to really look at this. And I want you to think about what this means for our team. It's interesting. These stats are Tua Tagovailoa's stats since he returned from his injury. Hmm. 240 yards per game, 78% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns to 1 interception, and a 112.2 passer rating. This is not the normal late season Tua. I'm intrigued. It brings up other questions. Can our line continue to protect Tua so that he can put these numbers up and continue to do that? Not just continue, but to improve those numbers. It's hard to improve those numbers because they are fantastic numbers. In fact, most people in the NFL, including myself, I didn't know he was doing this well. But if you said, this is a quarterback's numbers in the last 4 weeks, and you just put the numbers up and you didn't say who it was, and you asked most people who that is, I guarantee you 9 out of 10 would not say, oh, that's Tua Tagovailoa. It's strange. Like I said, this isn't the normal Tua. And if you've watched any of the games, especially if you're a Dolphins fan, you're watching Tua, I think you know just as well as I do that this is not the same Tua that we've usually been watching. This is not the Tua that takes the shots down the field when he's in a hurry. This is not that Tua. This is the Tua that extends plays and is mobile, and not like Josh Allen mobile, but mobile in the pocket enough to certainly buy some more time to let a running back squeak off the back end and make a catch and make some yards. Not the big bomb down the field, because most teams are playing a heavy too high shell against Miami this year. It's interesting. We're watching growth from a quarterback, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not saying that he's the best quarterback in the NFL. I'm not saying he's MVP status. I'm not saying any of these things. But I am saying those numbers right there, right next to my fuzzy little face, 240 yards per game, 78% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns to 1 interception, and a 112.2 passer rating. Those are great, elite numbers. Especially in the NFL this year, where a lot of teams are running that too high safety and passing yards are down for the most part across the board. So, something to think about here. We're looking at a new, maybe a more responsible Tua. Aside from those fumbles, he's got to stop with that fumbling. He's gonna give me a heart attack. So, just something to look at there, something to think about. Like I said, in all seriousness, I am very impressed with the way Tua has been playing, and I love to see this dedication to a more West Coast style of offense, where it's these short passes and these across the middle passes that seem to be, like, teams are just begging us to take them. Like, they're giving them to us. And in the beginning of the season, I was like, why aren't we taking these passes? And if you watch those games in the beginning of the season, that's all they're giving us. They're giving us the middle of the field. They're giving us that first 10 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. And if they're giving it to us, we should take it. And Tua's taking advantage of that right now. And that's why those numbers are as good as what I just showed you. So as Dolphins fans, let's be encouraged and let's keep watching this. Let's watch this growth of Tua and see how he continues down the line here as we get closer to the end of the season, as some of these games get cold, as teams start playing for the playoff push. Let's see how this continues to go. Let's watch this. So I want to bring this up, this next little image here, and as I pop this up, nobody have a heart attack. I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen. I'm saying this is what I think will happen. And it's by looking at the teams that we're playing and their strengths and their weaknesses and how they're doing with certain things, player health. This is what I think is going to happen for the rest of the season when I pull this up. So here we go. Brace yourselves. There's our final 7 games. And I put the little W's and the L's next to what I think will happen. So let's walk through it. We play the Patriots this Sunday. I think we're going to win. That's at home. I think we will win that game, especially if we continue to play the way we've been playing. Continue to get better. Let's give that a W. The week after, on Thanksgiving Day, we play the Green Bay Packers. Could we win that game? Yeah, we could. They play it for a reason. It's not going to be frigid that night in Green Bay. It'll be chilly, but it's not going to be frigid. There's a good chance they could win that game, especially, like I said, if they keep playing the way they're playing and continuing to get better. But for brevity's sake, in my little mind, in my little football-riddled mind, I'm thinking we might lose that game. So I went with the L there. Next, we play the Jets for the first time in the season. The Jets are struggling. And this is one of those games where the Dolphins need to come out and be the bully. The Dolphins need to punch the Jets in the mouth. I think the Dolphins win that game. That's in Miami. I think it's going to be a W. Next, we play the Texans at home. The Texans home. Traveling to Houston to play the Texans. That's going to be a playoff atmosphere in that game. Because the Texans are struggling just a little bit. They're not bad, but they're struggling a little bit. They got some players out. Stroud is having a rough time. He's not playing like he did last year. He's still good. And if we sleep on Stroud, he's going to get us. But I think the Dolphins win that game. Next, we play our final home game at the 49ers. They're coming over to Miami Gardens to play us. The 49ers are struggling. They're not the best team in the NFC this year. Certainly not playing with it. Brock Purdy's having not a bad season, but he's struggling. He's not playing like he was. Christian McCaffrey is back. But is he back? They got some other injuries they're working through. Ayuk is out, a few other people. The Dolphins, I think, will win that game. So I don't think that the Dolphins lose another game at home this year. I think we win our final 3 home games and finish with a winning record at home. After that, we travel to Cleveland to play the Browns. This is going to be a cold game. One of those questions that we had in the beginning of the year and all through the last couple of years is what? Dolphins don't win cold weather games. And it's partially because they don't run the ball well. They don't run between the tackles. They don't throw the short pass. They're playing different this year. I got the Dolphins winning that game. A cold weather game. Not against a great team, because it's the Browns. But the talent is on that team. They just can't put wins together. Next, for the last game of the season, we travel to New Jersey to play the Jets. In the beginning of the season, I thought this was going to be a game for a playoff spot for both teams. The Jets ain't going to have a chance to have this game be for a playoff chance, for a playoff game. But do you think the Jets are going to show up at their home for the last game of the season and they're going to be amped up to play spoiler to the Miami Dolphins if the Dolphins do what I think is going to happen here? I still think the Dolphins are going to beat them. In my mind's eye, I can see it happening. Unless something crazy happens or changes here in the next few weeks. This is what I see happening. I see us beating the Patriots. I see us losing to the Packers. I see us beating the Jets, beating the Texans, beating the San Francisco 49ers, beating the Browns, and beating the Jets again. That means I see us winning a third game in a row against the Patriots this week. I see us losing a game, and then I see us going on a 5-game win streak to end the season. I see us finishing 10 wins and 7 losses. And I see that being just enough to get us into that number 7 seed. Ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly what I think is going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying that's what I think is going to happen. That's my personal prediction. It is an educated prediction, and it's based on a lot of stats and a lot of information and a lot of things, including performance of these teams that are on this list, including Miami Dolphins. With the emphasis the Dolphins have right now on getting better every week. How do I know it's an emphasis? Well, because everybody talks about it. Number one, all the coaches are talking about it. The players are mentioning it every chance they get. And you see the improvement on the field. With that, I see this happening. I see a season that was in shambles and in the trash can being turned around at the end of this season. I see a Dolphins team doing things that haven't been happening in years. I see a Dolphins team that's going to win a couple cold weather games. I see a Dolphins team that's going to play some good teams and win. I see a Dolphins team that's not going to get bullied. I see a team that's going to be doing some bullying of its own. And I see us playing and winning football games in a way that we haven't had happen in a long time. So, with that, my delusion is over. I just wanted to let everybody know where I stand. I am a Dolphins fan as it is. What can I do? I'm not going to change teams. That's not me. I'm a Dolphins fan through and through. And someday I think that they're going to make us proud. I think this season is going to be that season where we may not win at all. We may not make the Super Bowl. But I think that we're going to end up winning enough games to make the playoffs. And I think we're going to have a chance for ultimate revenge against the Chiefs or the Bills in that first round of the playoffs. We'll see what happens. But, Dolphins fans, stay up. Stay optimistic. Stay faithful. Stay cool. And fins up.